Hello KtM music students, my name is Eric Dieter. I'm a professional guitar player and music school owner in the United States. I've worked closely with your teacher over the last couple of years, and I've gotten a lot of benefit from the things that she has taught me, and I'd like to give back by offering her students, KtM Music, this very special lesson on how to get the absolute most out of your lesson experience. A little bit about me. I am what I would consider a music behaviorist, in that I have a formal education in music as well as a formal education in psychology. And what I do is I combine the two of those things to offer music students the best possible experience that they can get. So, how do you get the most out of your lessons? A lot of students, when they come to guitar lessons with me, they are scattered. They know they want to get better, but they are frustrated or overwhelmed with content. The internet is full of stuff, more stuff that you could possibly look at in 10 lifetimes. And while that might seem like a gift, in some respects it is also quite a weight, in that students keep looking at new things, they keep grabbing pieces of information, they keep grabbing content, and they don't know what to practice anymore. Every day it's something new. So I'm here to help you weed through the process in your music education, help you decide what is really important. What are the things that I need, and what are the things that I can leave behind? Now, all of the information that you're going to find from your music teacher and from the resources that your teacher is giving you is going to be fantastic. But not all of it needs to be practiced on a daily basis. How do you decide what is additional information versus what needs to be a part of your stable diet? We're going to find that out together today. So you can put your instruments down. There will be no playing today. This is going to be all about your growth and your discovery as to who you want to be as a musician. So the first thing I want you to think about is project yourself, if you can, 3, 4, 5 years into the future. What are you doing on your instrument? What are you doing on guitar? Where are you? Close your eyes. Call up an image. Try to see it as clearly as you possibly can. Maybe you can see it perfectly clear. Maybe your friends are there. Maybe you're on stage in front of thousands of screaming fans. Maybe you're in your bedroom just playing in the dark by yourself. Wherever you are, that's fine. But really think, where do I want to be as a musician? Call up that image. What's happening 5 years from now? How should you be playing? Where should you be as a musician? Where do you want to be? That's the most important question. I ask students all the time, what do you want to do on this instrument? And very often I don't get the answer to that question. The answer that I get is to the question, what do you think you can do on the instrument? Now that's not the same thing. Very often students want to be able to write cool songs or improvise awesome guitar solos or walk into an open mic night session and just play, or to sing in church or sing and play in church, or to sing and play at the county fair or something. That's what they really want, but they're afraid to tell me because they're not sure if they can do it, and they don't want to embarrass themselves, or they don't want to think that their goals are too lofty. Your goals are, we're talking 5 years from now. I will tell you that most students tend to overestimate what they can achieve in 6 months to a year, but they far underestimate what they can do in 5 years, or even 2. So think about the long term. Where do you want to be long term as a musician? Write that down. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and move on, but I would definitely recommend pausing this video and get this really clear in your mind. What do you want? Don't just think about what you think you can do. Write down, get it clear in your mind, get that picture, write it down. What do you want? Once you know that, the rest of this process is going to become much simpler. We're going to start to weed things out. There's going to be skills that maybe we don't need to worry about right now. That doesn't mean that we won't look at technique. That doesn't mean that we may not revisit those skills in 2 years or so. That doesn't mean that you can't change what you want. But what I'd like you to think about for now, to be a little bit more focused on the present and to bring things down to the more immediate level, I'd like you to think now about, where do you want to be in 90 days? Where do you think you should be in 3 months of the guitar? So if it's around September and you're watching this video, where do you think you should be by Christmas time? If it's March, where do you want to be by June? It's a good question to ask. It's a reasonable question to ask. What do you think you should be able to do on your instrument between now and March? Or between now and Christmas, now and June? 90 days. Think about it. Pause the video, write it down. I'm assuming you've done that you've paused the video and you're now continuing. So what we have to think about is this goal realistic? Is this something that I can easily achieve, or is this something that might be that might be just slightly beyond my reach? And that's okay if you're overshooting or undershooting right now. Take this to your teacher. Go over this with your teacher. Your teacher will help you decide, yes, this goal is perfect, it's exactly what you need to be working on, or yeah, you could probably make this a little harder, that you could definitely knock this out, but I think you could do more. Or your teacher will also help you, based on your current skill level, decide, yeah, maybe this is a great idea, but this is probably more of a 1 year or 6 month goal and not a 90-day goal. The idea here is not that we shoot for perfection. The idea here is that we get a clear picture of who we want to become as guitar players, who we want to be as musicians, who do I want to be as a singer, as a piano player, whatever instrument it is that you want to get great at. Who do you want to be? How do you want to express yourself? What kind of music do you want to play? And what are your expectations of yourself for the next 90 days? And you have to hold yourself to these expectations. That's the whole trick, right? It's one thing to have a dream, but it's another thing to have a specific goal, put a timeline and deadline on that dream and say, here's what I'm going to do. And set the expectation and then hold yourself to that standard. Get it done. And that's the difference between okay musicians and really good ones. Really good musicians are always working towards a goal. They're working towards something. They know why they're practicing that E flat major scale, because it fits into this other thing that they're trying to do. They know why they set aside an hour or however many hours a day to practice, or however many minutes that may be. They know because they want to do this performance. They want to sing and play this, or they want to play at this gig, or they want to record this song. They know, and they get it done. The great news about this is that the more often you get, the better you're going to become at projecting. Be able to project into the future and say, yeah, okay, based on the things I've already achieved, I should be able to achieve this. So this is the fantastic news, that even if you come short of your goals, you're going to be better. Even if you reach too far and you and your teacher were optimistic about what might get done, even if some roadblock comes up 45 days from now, you will still be better, and you're still going to feel so much better about what you're practicing because you're working towards something. So we're going to try and build towards this 90-day goal. Everything that we do for the next 90 days on our instrument is going to bring us to this 90-day goal. And if it doesn't immediately fit into that picture, then we're not going to work on it. And it's just that simple. So what we are really doing is we're saying, here's where I want to be in 90 days. I want to be over here. And that goal might be, I want to be able to play 3 songs from start to finish without mistakes. That might be, I want to sing and play at my worship team. That might be, I want to be able to improvise with my buddies at a band practice. Whatever that is, know what you want to do. 90 days. And what we are going to do together now is we're going to lay out a little trail of breadcrumbs between today and then that's going to help me get to where I want to be. Everything that you touch on your instrument between today and then is going to bring you towards here. Okay? Now think about the skills that you would need to be able to achieve this 90-day goal over here. You may know, you may have been playing guitar long enough or playing piano or whatever instrument long enough to know, okay, generally speaking, I need to have some legato and I need to be able to have great phrasing and I need to know this scale and that chord. You might have a clear picture, you might not. Get something down. get something on paper. Even if you don't know much about your instrument yet, you probably know, okay, that sounds like a chord. I probably need to have good timing to be able to strum and play it with other people. I probably need to be able to sing on key if I'm going to sing in front of people. Things like that. Okay? You can be as specific or as broad as you need to be. The important thing, again, is that it's your goal. It's your dream, it's your vision, it's your life, it's your thing that you're working towards. Your teacher can do a lot of amazing things. I know, I've seen it. Your teacher can do some great things. But what your teacher cannot do for you is tell you what you want. Your teacher can help you get there. Your teacher will help you get there. Your teacher will help you refine some of these things that you're writing down and make them more achievable and make them easier to understand and more specific. But right now, this stuff is about you. This is about you laying out your own trail because that's where you want to be. Okay? I can't do this work for you. I can't tell you who you want to be as a musician, and I can't tell you why you've decided to click on this video and why you've decided to take lessons. But I do know that you want something. And don't sell yourself short. Don't settle for what you think you're capable of. Go for it. Go for what you want. Take it. Practice hard, work hard, take it. Okay? So what we're going to think about now is 5 basic skills that we need to make this thing happen. What is a basic skill? Well, some things to think about. Being able to play scales and move them is a good skill. Why would I need to play scales? A couple of reasons. If you desire to improvise, you're going to need scales. If you want to play riffs, if you like classic rock, jazz, blues, even some folk music, you're going to need to be able to play scales because those riffs, those melodies on your instrument are coming from scales. If you want to be able to play solos, recorded guitar solos that aren't improvised but exist there already in notation form, you still need to know scales because those solos are using scales. So those are maybe some more obvious reasons to know scales. If you desire to sing and play, being able to play your scale and sing along with it will help your voice. That will get you trained to sing on pitch rather than being out of key, because nobody likes that. So knowing scales will also help you with ear training. So if you desire to be able to learn songs by ear, hear a song on YouTube and just be able to play it, great. If you want to be able to hear a song in a jam session, you need to be able to hear the scale and hear how it moves or the notes in the key or something stepping out of key. So scales, I think, for most students, having some level of awareness should be a skill that you're always working towards. Building chord vocabulary, also an important skill. Obviously, if you're strumming chords, you want to be able to read chord charts, another skill related to chords. Even if you want to be a great lead guitar player, you still need to be able to outline chords, and you still need to know what to do with chords. So even as a lead guitar player, if your goal is to be able to sit in on a jam session and play with anybody and kind of fake your way through it, as I've heard students so eloquently put it in the past, you still need to know chord progressions and how to treat chords. Okay? So these are kinds of things that you want to be thinking about. Okay, yes, I need to know scales, but to what end? What am I going to do with the scale? And this is going to help you decide how will I practice it. Will I take a scale and make a short guitar solo with it? Will I take a scale, play it once, and then sing it? Okay? So thinking about where I want to be, if I want to be singing and playing, I know, all right, I should be able to play the scale and sing the scale. Maybe I'll play a C chord, while singing a C scale. If you've never sung a scale before, playing it on your instrument will certainly help your voice follow it. If you want to play guitar solos, listen to that guitar solo. Are you able to identify what skills are happening in a specific solo that you want to learn? Can you hear sweep picking? Do you hear a lot of tapping? Do you hear a lot of hammer-ons? Do you hear pull-offs? Or there's some crazy noises that you have no idea what are going on? All of those things are skills. Even if you don't know what's happening in that song, a skill you would want to develop would be listen to a song and be able to, understand what's happening. That'd be a great goal to have. And to know more about good lead guitar tricks would be a great goal to have. Okay? So we want to be working towards 5 skills. Maybe if improvising is a skill that you want to work towards, if that fits into your long-term goals, then you want to be practicing improvisational elements. Improvisation doesn't end with scales. It begins with scales. It gives me the vocabulary, but you also have to practice speaking with the vocabulary. So, if your goal, skill, that you want to learn is to improvise, you have to learn how to use a scale fragment. Use a rhythm and use a small portion of the scale, make music with it, that sort of thing. These are just some examples, some basic skills that I think most students are going to want. Think about, again, where do I want to be? What do I need to be able to do? You might have a great idea because you've been playing for a long time. You might feel like, I don't know what I need to do, and that's okay too. If you need additional help, talk to your teacher. Say, all right, I understand that I need to do these 3 things, but I'm kind of stumped as to what to put for my last 2. That's fine. Building a repertoire, also known as a list of songs that we can play, is also a skill. So if you want to be a human jukebox and be able to play a ton of songs, that's great. Spend time learning songs. That would be a skill to work on. Okay? So once you have your 5 basic skills that you need to work on, what we will do next is take those 90-day skills and we're going to break them down into stuff like weekly goals, 2-week goals, 3-week goals, 1-week goals, but stuff that's short-term, things that are going to help me practice that on a daily basis, things that's going to help me make sense of what all I want to do. Okay? So you're going to want to have one solid piece of paper that says, here is my long-term goal, as in like the 5-year thing that I want to be able to do. And we're not writing a 5-year business plan. We're not plotting out our entire life for the next 5 years. We're just saying overall the big picture, the thing that I really want on my instrument is that, X. And then you want to have your 90-day skill list. Over the next 90 days, here are the things that I'm committed to working on. Here's the method to my madness. If you don't do something regularly, if you practice one skill one day and then hop on YouTube the next day and practice a different skill, and then flip through your handouts from your teacher and then practice that skill 3 days later, if you keep bouncing around, you will not learn anything. You must be doing the same type of thing regularly. I'm not saying you play the same song or exercise every day, but you need to be developing the same basic skills long term. Music is a very, very complicated topic. Music, as we know it, has been around for thousands of years. And there is so much to learning that language that it's going to take some time. If you thought you were going to be able to learn it all, I'm sorry to be the first one to tell you that you just can't. I will never touch all of the music that I even own, all the songbooks that I've bought over the years, let alone play every single concept there is. So what we have to do is weed this stuff out together. We have to decide what's important, what isn't important. So if your goal is to put on a rock concert of 15 songs for a bunch of your friends at next year's barbecue, great. That helps me. That helps me a lot because that also not only tells me what types of things I should be practicing, it also shows me where the garbage is too, right? So if I want to be playing rock songs at a barbecue, I probably don't have to be playing bluegrass stuff. I probably don't need to be working on finger picking. I probably don't need to spend a whole lot of time doing flamenco. I probably don't need to spend a whole lot of time on like 13th chords and tension chords and stuff associated with jazz music. All of these things can be put on the back burner. Now that's not to say that if your teacher gives you something that doesn't seem immediately like it fits in, that your teacher is wrong. If you get content from your teacher and it's not clear as to how it fits into your desired skills, you need to ask. And I'm certain your teacher will have a very good reason for giving you the things that he or she does. Okay, so what we need to do now is we have our set of skills. We have our big picture in mind. We have our 90-day skill set in mind. What we are going to do now is we are going to set goals the smart way. The goals that we are setting, these goals are things that I am actually going to check off a list. Goals that are smart have an intended outcome. They have a purpose. Goals that are smart answers the question, how will I know when I'm done? And that's part of the problem with the day-to-day practice habits that I see from a lot of students, is that they don't think about what am I working towards even today. They just think, well, okay, my teacher says I should practice for a half-hour a day, so I'm going to get out my guitar and I'm going to hold it and do stuff for a half-hour a day. If that is your goal, don't be surprised when nothing happens at the end of your practice session. Your goal, whatever it is, will never bring you anything beyond what you stated in that. If it's my goal to play through the C major scale for 15 minutes, at the end of 15 minutes, all that will have happened is the C major scale. I will not know the notes in it, in terms of the letters. I will certainly not know the G major scale either. I may not even know a consistent fingering for it. If my goal is too generally stated, all I'm going to get is a very general result. So the SMART system tells me I need a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-sensitive goal. Everything that I'm working on needs to have all of these components in order for it to be an effective goal. So it's the specific thing. What am I doing? I'm playing the G major to the A minor chord. That will be specific. I'm going to make sure I can do that chord switch, 70 chord switches in a minute. That's measurable. What am I practicing? These two chords. When will I be done? After I can do it this many times in a minute. Great, that measurement tells me when I'm done. Is it achievable? Well, that's going to be between you, your history on the instrument, and your teacher's input to decide if it's achievable or not. But, if you've never done a chord change anywhere near, a score of 40, maybe you shouldn't set such a high goal. So this one is going to be very much between you and your teacher to work out what is achievable, but definitely err on the side of easy rather than hard, because again, it would be way better to finish your goal early and make it harder tomorrow than it would be to have to stop and feel frustrated like you didn't get far. So definitely say err on the side of easy with the achievable part. Relevant. Well, if my goal is to be able to strum, sing, and play chords, then absolutely, this is very relevant to what I'm doing. If I want to be able to play jazz improvisation, this might not be the most relevant goal. So make sure you're taking into account both that 90-day skill list as well as that long-term desire. And then the time-sensitive thing. Set deadlines on things. So if your goal is going to take you beyond today's practice session, make sure that it does have an end. If I want to learn a certain song, put a deadline on it. I will know this song within 4 weeks. I will perform this song at half speed by next Tuesday. So take a minute, write it down. So you should be working towards SMART goals, a single SMART goal for every single skill that you have. So you should have essentially at least 5 SMART goals that coincide with your long-term skill list that takes you towards that endpoint. Where do I want to be overall as a musician? So a great example, I'll walk you through a sample SMART goal, would be, let's say that my goal is to record a neoclassical metal album by summer. My specific goal would be to maybe learn Paganini's Moto Perpetuo at 185 beats per minute by 45 days from now. Okay? If you're a professional, then I would think that that's an achievable goal. If you've played this style before, I'm assuming that this isn't your first time playing a neoclassical song. So we would say that we're assuming that this is achievable for this particular person. And I've already stated that I want to do an album in this genre, so that's probably going to be relevant to it. So we can see how that might be a great example of a measurable, achievable, specific, timely goal. Put a deadline on it, 45 days. Another specific goal would be I will learn 6 chords in the key of C and be able to switch between them all without stopping at 60 beats per minute by the end of the month. Great. That's specific. It's telling me 6 chords in the key of C. I would get even more specific and say which ones, but you don't have to. It's telling me 6 chords in the key of C. The tempo marking and the number of chords, both measurable. Is it achievable? That's going to be between you and your teacher to decide. Is it relevant? Probably. I would see how that particular goal would fit into most students' goals. And it's got a deadline on it. So remember to put the deadline on it, because if you don't put a deadline on it, it can always wait till tomorrow. And if it can wait till tomorrow, then it can wait till next Tuesday. And if it's not important enough to do next Tuesday, then it ain't going to get done. So here's the thing. Make sure that you're not giving yourself an out. The last thing I'm going to say is make sure the things that you're practicing fit your goals, fit your skill list, and fit your long-term vision. Okay, so what we don't do is adjust and adapt our plan to fit the practice material. That's a great sign that you're about to get distracted and get off course and play something that's going to derail you. And I've said this many times to students, and I've said this before. It might seem like a reward or a treat to play a song that isn't part of your long-term picture. In the short term, it seems like, oh, this is a good idea. I deserve this little snack. I deserve this little song, this little detour. But be careful. What tends to happen is, if I take a detour today, there's an excellent chance that that thing that I practice tomorrow will replace something more important. So you have to be very careful of when you're deviating from your path. Questions that students often ask me is it okay to change my goals, to modify my goals, and to modify my skills list? And obviously that's going to be a case-by-case basis. Yes, you can modify your goals. If you're finding that that they're not achievable, or you notice that it's not as relevant as I thought, maybe I want to put a focus on here. Your SMART goals, they can change. Okay, I wouldn't change these every practice session. If you find yourself wanting to change stuff rather frequently, as in like every week you're finding that you want to change things, you need to talk to your teacher, because maybe the things that you're selecting you're maybe not thinking about the right things when you select your practice material, if you feel like you have to change it. As far as changing your 5 skills and the 90-day skills, that's okay in the beginning. So I would suspect that most students, if this is the first time you're thinking about these sort of things, you're gonna sit and you're gonna think for the next couple of days, and then you'll talk to your teacher, and you'll probably go back and change some of these after talking to your teacher. That's fine. One round, of a solid edit, rewrite after getting feedback from your teacher is pretty typical. Maybe even a second rewrite. But if you're more than like 2 weeks into the process, you probably shouldn't be doing any more editing. If you're 45 days into the process and you feel like you want to change your goals, I suspect it's more of a motivation issue, that maybe you've allowed some shiny objects to creep into your practice routine that have distracted you. Or maybe your SMART goals aren't really achievable, and maybe you're getting frustrated. So once you hit a certain point, once you get past, even the halfway point, and you feel like you want to change your skill set, there's gonna be an error in thinking somewhere, and it's not necessarily an error in your planning. It's just something has gone wrong in the way that you're approaching your practice. So if things are going correctly, you're going to have a piece of practice material that's going to fit each individual skill. And that might change from practice to practice. So if a skill that I'm working on is memorizing scale vocabulary, you should have a number of different practice materials rotating in and out. And you only need to hit one of those per day. You're just making sure that you're doing something to enhance that long-term skill set every day. One practice item per skill per day. Bare minimum of 7 minutes per skill. So that can be quite liberating for adults that are finding themselves short on practice time. Knowing that you don't have to set aside an hour to practice can, take some of the burden off. if you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to work on my second skill because I have time to switch between chords now, then do that. And you can come back later in the day and work on your other 4 goals. That's fine. So make sure that you're doing, that you're staying focused and that your practice material suits the skill and not the other way around. So that's basically it. This planning system I've seen help countless students of mine, and I'm sure it can continue to work for you. Having a plan, having a direction is very, very important. This is going to help you eliminate the frustration of feeling overwhelmed. Eliminate that, what do I practice? How do I practice? What do I do? When you go to get out your instrument and sit down and practice. You're always going to know what to practice. You're always going to know why you're practicing. When things get frustrating, don't forget about that long-term goal. Don't forget that you're here, you're doing these things now to bring you towards this skill set. This skill set, if you stay focused on it for 90 days, it has to improve. As long as you're doing this, it is foolproof. All you have to do is show up. Put a little bit of thought into it and you will succeed. I guarantee it. All right, so get out there. Make your goals smart and make your dreams big. Play hard.